Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered Twin Blades build in Code Vein 2. Now the great thing about Twin Blades is that they do pretty respectable damage, but they are the fastest attacking weapon, which means that we can apply statuses like Venom, which is actually good in this game really quickly. And when using the Blade Dancer, we can scale up our damage numbers pretty quickly by hitting multiple attacks off on the enemy, and then whenever we're going against the real boss, we're going to do a lot more damage. Now, we got Venom on here, which is actually pretty effective against a lot of fights in this game due to how much your companion can actually pull aggro for you. We also got really good mobility with these attacks, which actually makes us invincible when we're dodging with some of them, as you saw right there. So some pretty crazy damage out of these things. I'll be taking you through the entire build. So I think it's first important to talk about weapons. Now, if you have the pre-order deluxe edition, the Twin Fangs of the Lone Wolf are insane. However, the Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades are also quite good, and I'm a big fan of the Jade curved blades as well. But the VK dual blades and the Fangs of the Hunter also work great too. The thing is, with Twin Blades compared to other weapons, like the Twin Fangs of the Lone Wolf are the best, but all of them are viable. And the Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades has this moveset here. There's some slight variances between the two of them, which is not too major. And here's the light attack combo for the Jade curved blades. So you do a 2 attack, and 2 instead of the 2-2-1-1. So a little bit of a different pace. And which Twin Blade works best for you is dependent on our blood codes, which we'll get to in a moment here, but things like the Fangs of the Hunter have an S+ scaling in dexterity, whereas the Twin Fangs of the Lone Wolf have C scaling in mind and willpower, making them better for a caster style build. So we'll be going over different weapon skills for both of these weapons here, but my personal preference is the Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades due to the low stat requirements. Like, it only has an 8 burden on your dexterity, which means that we can get a quick dodge, as you see at the bottom right hand section of the screen here, which is actually really important on these blades. Since we need to get in close, having a quick dodge is one thing that I think is important. And it's actually really hard to get that quick dodge because some of these have like 10 in your strength and dex, 16 in your dex, and mixed numbers across the board. Things like mind being very hard to get a high stat in. But with the Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades, we can pair this with Holly number 2, and this is going to give us a quick dodge. If we have a booster, that's going to give us a little bit more dexterity. But if you want to maximize your damage with these, the hero Holly the Reaper here can give us a pretty solid score. Although we'll get a slower dodge, our damage number goes up quite a bit. Same thing here if we use Jade the Blind Hero, which will give us a good boost to our damage, but a slower dodge. And with the hero Holly the Reaper blood code, we have no overburden effect, which gives us attack power up, which is quite nice. I will also mention Lou's Bloodline 4. This one is actually pretty solid overall too. But yeah, getting the Holly Bloodline with that +5 dexterity booster is going to allow, or a +2 mind and 2 willpower will give us that quick dodge, which I like. Now, if we're going to use the Twin Fangs of the Lone Wolf, this again is where Lou's Bloodline can really shine. But also Lavinia, if you got hers up to 3, this will be one of the better ones to go with. And the best thing is, for these two, you actually get Lavinia and the Lou Bloodlines throughout the game. So these are two good ones. Just if you want the easy path, this weapon is that for sure. Now for the Jade curved blades, these are strength and dexterity based. So they will scale off better when we go with high stats like the one-armed hero Lyle, which will give us a massive strength score, as well as Lost Camillo, which is also pretty solid, although the dex scaling is not the highest. And they are another weapon where Noah's Bloodline is actually quite solid due to the high strength and dexterity scores. And I'll also mention again, Lou's Bloodline kind of works for everybody since she has high stats across the board. There are other Twin Blades as you get further on in the game. I just really like the Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades. We'll get to weapon skills in just a moment, but for our offensive Formae, it's hard to beat the Blood Reaver Blade. This thing is just insane with the damage that it can do. Now, we want to basically be using this. If you're good at timing it, you can get way more damage off from this thing than anything else in the game. And for that, we'd like to use Jose's the Blind Hero Blood Code, which when we have no conditions, we are going to get our attack power up on that. Although there is a booster that'll also boost up the damage of Blood Reaver Blade. You don't have to use it, but the damage from this thing is absurd. You can use the bow, however, since we are locked into a very close range when using Twin Blades. Sometimes it's nice for that. Now, if you're really good at parrying, the Mutinous Bracer is fantastic. Otherwise, I like to go with the low stat requirements since that does put 2 on our dexterity there, which you can see actually takes us out of the quick dodge. So I prefer to go with like the Bleeding Shield just because it's light and doesn't have very high stat requirements there. You can even just go with the regular old Clotted Shield. And even the Vanishing Hollow is kind of nice if you get any of the other dodges. They work well too, but honestly, the Twin Blades are best with a dodge heavy focus, so going for the quick dodge works best here. And for our jail, this is another one that's just the best across the board. The Bat Jail gives us our Ichor back extremely easily. It gives us a bit of a dodge as well. You jump back when you use it, and It has some pretty low stat requirements that doesn't burden you too much. This is mostly just to give us a bit of extra mobility. If you do like Stinger or things like the Ogre, they come out quickly, and even Reaper if you like parrying, but I just found Bat to be way better than the rest. As for the boosters, I like to roll with, to get this dodge off, we need to have the boost to the mind and willpower, mind and our dexterity. So the dexterity boost will give us an increase in our overall damage here, dexterity +5. The mind +2 just takes us over the threshold so that we don't get this slow dodge. And then I have the stamina up booster Unum here, and then the seasoned runner, which gives us our sprint cost down. Now, I did mention that using the devotion here is really good, but if I switch that off, then I end up losing the quick dodge, so just be mindful of your burden. And the bleed tracker is also quite nice if you're able to get that. And I also want to mention Twin Blade Mastery, although this is a lot better if you have a very high dexterity score, since this is going to put a 4 burden on your dexterity, which could bring you down to that slow dodge, which with our short range, we don't really want, despite this attack boost being nice. But use this if you do have the capacity to get it. I just think that quick dodge is much more beneficial for most players most of the time. And I should mention, since not a lot of people probably have the Jade curved blades, to actually get them, you actually have to come over to this section of the map, and it's right inside, right there. So now for our weapon skills. Blade Dance, as mentioned, works extremely well here because this is a low cost, but it's going to temporarily increase our attack power each time you damage an enemy with our weapon. Since we attack very fast, we're the best user of this, despite this being available to all weapons, so this is one that I like to have slotted at all times. Scorpion is also nice. This is the move you saw at the start where you jump back and then you dodge forwards. It gives you a bit more range on your attacks, so you can actually stay away from the enemy and use this to be able to hit them. But it also nullifies enemy attacks when you jump back. So you can use this as almost a counter. If you're about to get hit with an attack, it'll give you that jump back, you jump forward and attack them. It's really good. I like using Scorpion. Venom Mark is also quite nice as mentioned because we got a quick ability to apply statuses on the enemy. You could also use the flame weapon too or any of the other ones, but I just found that Venom works so well in this game. It actually does some pretty insane damage. So this is worth using in my opinion. And the shredding spin, I think, works really well too, because you pop Venom Arc, you do this, you're likely going to apply the Venom in that quick period. This does a multi-hit attack here, which is really nice because you just go in like that, and you can sometimes get that proc of Venom off immediately. This weapon does come with the Relentless Sword Dance built into it, and it's also a good attack because this lets you attack multiple times. If you prefer using this, that works as well. I'd actually recommend you try out all of them. I just found the Shadow Slayer isn't that amazing. This one you have to be in the air to use, and its attack is a little bit clunky, in my opinion, to land. Maybe in future updates when this game's less laggy and things like that, it might work a bit better, but I just don't find it that great. I also like Precision, it's kind of funny, so this makes it easier for us to disrupt enemies. So sometimes you can get that stagger out with our quick attacking, which is really nice. Kind of reminds me of Neo 3, the Tonfas. Overdrive is always, it's useful. 2 Ichor costs a boost of our damage. This is one that you can use pretty much throughout the entire game if you wanted to. I just found others worked better. And I also want to mention Venomous Shot. This is great if you don't have the Venom Mark because we can use this from range. It uses 3 Ichor, but if you get a bunch of these off on the enemy, it can sometimes stun them. Like there's a lot of boss that actually get stunned, but Venom is just so good. You want this applied on the enemy as soon as possible. There's also things like Blazing Roar and any of the others here, but I just found this combo here works best in my opinion. And for the partner, honestly, you don't get a lot of choice in this, but Noah is going to be good for the extra tankiness that he brings and the boost to the dexterity. I just like to have Holly because reasons. Before you even get into a fight, it's best to buff up your weapons to be able to get that extra statuses off on the enemy. And you can see that we just deleted their health quickly, but the thing is with this, we got mobility to let us dodge out of the way of attacks like you saw there. We got a really great moveset too. If you just go with your auto attacks there, you can do some crazy status buildup. We're just shredding through the enemies here with this weapon, but on some chunkier, heavier weapon enemies, we can actually get some crazy, once we get that Venom to apply, we're gonna be just continually chipping away their health bar, which is really sweet because you don't have to do too much. You can actually play defensively there and then focus on getting your blood back and things like that. And I find that most enemies are actually quite easy to get the Venom off. He has it about halfway through there. We're gonna end up taking him out before we can do that. But against bosses, this absolutely shreds. And you can see we're just doing so much damage. So that is an overpowered Twin Blades build in Code Vein 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if this was useful. And we'll catch you all in the next video.